Hello everyone, welcome back. Hi. Hello Harshu, welcome back. How are you? Yes, you are the first one. Again, dear Harshu. It is a good name. Walaikum assalam. Let's see who is next. Here is your good name. Thank you so much for joining. Hi Rohit. How are you? Welcome. Here is your good name. I am good. How about you? Thank you for asking. Let me write Muski for you. Here is yours. Yes, Harshu. खैरियत यस यस खैरियत है भाई बस लाइट चली गई थी दैट्स व्हाई जो प्रीवियस लाइव है वो कट हो गई थी हेलो वेलकम Aniket. Hi dear Aniket. Here is yours. How are you? मैं भी एकदम मस्त. Oh, good to have you here. Welcome back. गर्मी को सुनाओ रोहित भाई कैसी जा रही है? Comments your good name, guys. Oh, मुस्की के लिए thank you so much. You're most welcome. Hello, dear 3D. Here is a good name. How are you? हर्षाली क्या पूछ रहे हो? Let's see who is next. I am good. How about you, Mahi? Welcome. क्या चीज़? रेत सैंड के बारे में पूछ रहे हो? बहुत मस्त ऐसे कदम G20 करके बैठा हूँ हॉस्पिटल में. Hi dear Zara, here is your good name. How are you? Guys, double tap on your screens and don't forget to press the subscribe button. ये तो मेरे घर में ही पड़ी थी भाई रेत बिकॉज मैं गार्डनिंग करती हूँ तो इसलिए अवेलेबल थी वैसे मार्केट से मिल जाती है Hi dear Felix, here is your good name. Hey dear Mary, here is yours. Hello dear Sophia, here is your good name. How are you? Hello dear Aman, here is yours. Hello dear Faiza, here is your good name. How are you? Okay. Hey dear Bella, here is your good name. Hello dear Purry, here is yours. Hi dear Oshna, here is your good name. You're most welcome. Hi dear Afia, here is yours. Hello dear another Mahi, welcome. Here is your good name. Hi dear Joanne, here is yours. Hello dear Rosa, here is your good name. Yes, अभी भी स्टार्ट किया है मैंने दोबारा से. Hello dear Umar, here is yours. Hi dear Hafsa, here is your good name. How are you? Hi dear Anya, here is yours. Hello dear Jack, here is yours. How are you? Hi dear Louis, here is your good name. Hello dear Amar, here is yours. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hi dear Tashifa, here is yours. Hello dear Josie, here is your good name. Hello, why not? What is yours? Hey dear Elmia, here is yours. Thank you for subscribing, dear. Hi dear Umar, here is your good name. Hello, dear Crystal, here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear Simon, here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hello, dear Elle, welcome back. Here is yours. How are you? Merhaba. Hi, dear Zahu, here is yours. Hello, dear brother. It is a good name. Thank you so much. What is your good name? Hello, dear. Letta is back. Welcome. How are you? Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Zainab. Here is yours. How are you? Hello, dear Mackenzie. Here is your good name. Guys, double tap on your screens and don't forget to press the subscribe button. Murad. Hi, dear Murad. Here is yours. Thank you so much for joining. Hi, dear Rana. Here is your beautiful name. Hello, dear Hadia. Here is your chicken girlies. What is your good name? Here is yours. Hi, dear Rohan. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hello, dear Samir. Here is yours. Hello, dear Hadia. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Hanzala. Here is yours. Hello, dear. Yeah, Lete. Yeah, I remember you, dear. Welcome back, dear Lou. Hello, dear Servina. Here is yours. I remember your nickname too. Hi, dear Indy. Here is yours. How are you? Hello, dear Shahmir. Shahmir. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hi, dear Kuba. Here is yours. Hello, dear Miral. Here is your Miral. Miral. What is your good name? Guys, double tap on your screens. Do you remember me? I think you are a new joiner, right? Hello, dear Fatima. Here is your good name, Indy. Hey, dear Uzoda. Here is yours. Hi, dear Eunice. Here is your beautiful name. Yeah, yeah, dear Lou. I remember. Hey dear Zainab, here is yours. How are you? Okay, Diala, yes, welcome back. Here is yours. Thank you so much for joining again, dear Indy. Here is yours, dear Diala. How are you? Hi, dear Rhoda. Here is yours. Hello, dear Maram. Here is a good name. Okay, so good to know, dear. Hi, dear Seema. Here is yours. Hello, dear Isabella. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hi, dear Sadna. Here is yours. Oh, thank you so much. Lots of love, dear. Thank you for your kind words. Lots of love. Let's see who is next. Who are you talking to? I am I am talking with Indy. Hello, dear Evelyn. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Vidhi. Here is yours. With the emoji, maybe smiling. Hi, dear Kitty. Here is yours. Oh my God, why I am making too much mistakes today? Kitty, here is yours. Hi, when you said good. Oh, I was talking to you. Hi, good to hear, right? That was for you. Hi, dear others, here is yours. Hey, dear light, here is a good name. Hello, dear Vishnu, here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear Tafsir, here is a beautiful name. Hello, dear Manu, here is yours. How are you? Hey, dear Rahma, Damian, okay. Here is yours. How are you? Hello, dear Damian. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Eva. Here is yours. Hello, dear Ahmed. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hi, dear Clarissa. Clarissa. Here is yours. Hi, dear SK. Here is yours. Hi, dear Sanjina. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hi, dear Arham. Here is yours. Thank you so much, dear. Lots of love. Hello, dear Jupiter. Here is your good name. How are you? Hello, dear soulmate. Here is yours. Hi, dear Munisa. Here is your beautiful name. Hello, dear Heath. Here is yours. Hi, dear Fahar. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hello, dear Altaf. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Asma. Here is yours. Hello, dear Setu. Here is your good name. Letter is. Thank you so much. Hey, dear Candle. Here is yours. Hi, dear Akil. Here is your good name. Hello, you're most welcome. Dear Jairi. Here is yours. Hi, dear Uma. Here is your beautiful name. Lots of love, dear. Here. Hi, dear Elamar. Welcome back. How are you? Here is your good name. E-signature. Yes. Thank you so much, Altaf. Hi, dear Smile. Here is yours. Hi, dear Ishak. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Tejasvi. Here is yours. Thank you so much for the love and support. Hi, dear Ida. Here is your good name. Hello, dear Ritani. Here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear, dear Arjun. Here is your good name. Thank you so much. Hi, dear Ina. Here is yours. Hello, dear Here. Here is yours, dear. Let's see who is next. Arshia. Hi, dear Arshia. Here is your good name. How are you, Sadna? Sadna ji, your name was done, but in case if you missed your name, here is yours. Hi, dear May. Here is yours. Hello, dear Ruhi. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Cornelia. Cornelia. K-O? What is your... Okay, Rnelia. You have such a unique name. Here is yours. Hi, dear Arjun. Here is your good name. Guys, don't forget to double tap on your screens. Kevin, hi. Just welcome back. Hi, dear Joss. Here is yours. Hi, dear Kiran. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hello, dear Luna. Here is your beautiful name. Hey, dear Mary. Here is yours. Hi, dear Hardy. Here is your good name. Hello, dear Chelsea. Here is yours. Hi, dear Suhana. Here is your good name. How are you? Hello, yes, Amir. Yes. Hey, dear Armina. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Oh, you're most welcome. Hi, dear Arham. Here is your good name. How are you? Hello, dear Mary. Okay. Hi, dear Mary. Here is your good name. Hello, dear Molly. How are you? Don't forget to like and subscribe. Mary is taking a screenshot of her name. Hi, dear Hassan. Here is yours. How are you? Hello. Let's see who is next, guys. Jawad with double W. Hi, dear Jawad. Here is yours. How are you? Hello, dear James. Here's a good name. Hi, dear Wajiha. How are you? Here is yours. Have a good day. Hi, dear Puteri. Here is yours. You have such a unique name. Hi, dear Gojo, for you. Here is yours. Hi, dear Hannah, one of my favorite names. Hello, dear Hannah. Here is your good name. How are you? Hey, dear Gabby. Here is yours. How are you? Hello, dear Hamza. I think you wanna say that. Hey, dear Hamza or Hamza. ZE. Here is yours. Hi, dear Saksham. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hi, dear Saren. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Frag. Here is yours. Hi, dear Ayla. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Kiran was done, right? Mahi was done too. Here is yours. Hello, dear Mantasha. Here is your good name. Mantasha, how are you? Hello, dear Kevin. For you, dear. Guys, don't forget to double tap on your screens. Hi, dear Roshni. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hi, dear Stephanie. Here is your good name. Welcome. Hey, dear Davy. Here is yours. Hi, dear Elia. Here is yours. Let's see who is next. Ali. Hello, dear Ali. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Feranas. Feranas. Here is yours. Hi, dear Vishnu. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Vashu. Here is yours. Hi, dear Saksham. Here is your good name. How are you? Hello, dear Vastorio. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Fatima. Here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear Juliet. Here is yours. Hello, dear Abby. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Lyall. Here is yours. Hello, dear Naju. Here is your good name. Guys, double tap on your screen. We are stuck on 39. Let's see who is next. Divyanshi. Hi, dear Divyanshi. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Sadna, your name is done, dear. Why are you still spamming? Please don't spam. Hey dear Yola, here is yours. Your name is done twice. Hey dear Terrace, here is yours. Hi dear Sidley, here is your good name. How are you? Hello dear Makasi, here is yours. How are you? Hi dear Easier, here is your good name. Hey dear Julia, here is yours. Hi dear Jayla, here is your beautiful name. Hello dear Troya. Troya. Okay, here is yours. Hi dear Anna, here is your good name. Hi dear Lakshmi. Here is yours. Hello, dear Hitanshi. Here is your good name. How are you? Hi, dear. Let's see who is next. Azan. Here is yours. Hi, dear Jian. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Ragda. Here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear Gurbani. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hello, dear Male. Here is your good name. Hello, dear Mukul. Here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear Daryl. Hello, say your name is done, dear. Here is yours. Hi, dear Manya. Here is your good name. Hello, dear Alicia. Here is yours. How are you? Hello, dear. Hello, dear Lucy. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Wahed. Here is yours. Hello, dear Bhavna. Bhavna. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hi, dear Husam. Here is yours. Let's see who is next. Hi, dear Javed. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hi, dear buddy. Here is yours. Hello, dear. Hi, dear Mohigul. Here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear Rosa. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Romasa. Here is yours. How are you? Hey, dear Lorenzo. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Yashi. Here is yours. Hello, dear Farhan. Here is your beautiful name. dear Diora, here is yours. Let's see who is next. Hi, dear Zoa. Zoa AH. Here is yours. Hi, dear Lakshay. Lakshay. Here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear Lana. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Umar. Here is yours. Hello, dear T. Let me check the spelling again. Hi, Adiba. Welcome back. Troia. Okay, here is yours. Adiba, welcome back. How are you? Hi, dear Adiba. Here is your good name. Hello, dear Finasi. Here is yours. What a unique name you have. Hi, Diba. Boil करके. Hey, dear Arham. Here is yours. Hi, dear Kyra. Here is your beautiful name. Hello, dear. Hi, Sophie. Welcome back. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hi, dear Ali. Here is yours. Hello, dear Oscar. Here is your good name. Merhaba, Niselsen. Hi, dear Sadaf. Here is your beautiful name. Hey, dear. I'm good too. Thank you, Muhammad Habib. Here is yours. How are you? I am good. How about you? Here is your beautiful name. Let's see who is next, guys. Don't forget to double tap on your screens. Walaikum assalam. वाह क्या हेयर डेयर अदीबा हेयर क्यूट है हाउ आर यू है ना देखा राइमिंग बन जाती है हेलो डियर अदीबा हेयर इज योर ब्यूटीफुल नेम Hi, dear Sammy. Here is yours. Hi, dear Aslan. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hi, dear Adam. Bihu. Hi. Here is yours. Guys, let's see who's gonna be the 60 liker. Mirha. Hi, dear Mirha. Here is yours. And Bihu. Here is yours. Okay, okay. Ifaz. Here is yours. Hi, Asad. Hello. Bye bye. It's okay, dear. Let's see who is next. Asad. Hey, dear Asad. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Malti. Here is yours. Hello, dear Nicola. Here is your good name. दीपक क्या लिखा है सॉरी मैंने मिस कर दिया शायद हाय मैं ठीक हूँ आप कैसे हैं Hey dear Sharon or Sharon here is yours how are you Hi dear Aisha here is your good name Hello dear Sagar here is yours Hi dear Kumkum here is your good name how are you Hello, dear Jess. Here is yours. Tum tum tam लिखा है क्या लिखा है यार Hi dear Huda. Here is yours. Hey dear Dania. Here is your good name. Hello dear Anshika. Here is yours. Guys, double tap on your screens. We are stuck on 52. Can we make it 60 at least? Hi, Min Ray. Here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear. Let's see who is next, guys. Thank you so much, dear Sophie. Vaishnavi, here is your good name. How are you? Here is yours. Let's see who is next. Hi, dear star. Here is your star with a star. What is a good name? Hi, dear Alian. Welcome back. How are you? Here is yours. Thank you for subscribing. Hi, dear. What is your name? Murtasim? I think so. Let me check. Sophie. Uh oh. Okay. Let's see who is next. Moatasim. Here is yours. Hi, dear Keshav. Here is your good name. Hello, dear Eliva. Here is yours. Hi, dear Sakshi. Here is your good name. How are you? Hello, dear Sad. Here is yours. Hi, dear Uday. Thank you so much for liking, bro. Here is your good name. Hey, dear Ankit. Here is yours. Hi, dear Babar. Here is your good name. How are you? Hi, dear Asif. Here is yours. Hello, dear Julia. Here is your beautiful name. Hello, dear Pauline. Here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear Fred. Here is yours. Hello, dear. Okay, dear Vajiha. Just for you. Here is yours. Prab. Okay, after this, Roshan. Hi, Roshan. Hello, Paridi. Yes, you are a moderator now. You're most welcome, dear. Hi, dear Paridi. Here is your good name. How are you? Hello, dear Crab. Here is yours. And what was the second name? Roshan. Hi, dear Roshan. Here is yours. How are you? Hello, dear Iliana. Here is your good name. Hello, dear Pawan. Here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear Mayank. Here is your good name. Hello, dear Asifa. Here is yours. Hi, dear Booglam. Here is your good name. Okay, dear Iram, after this. Here is yours. Hi, dear Iram. Here is your beautiful name. Hi, dear Kenzie. Here is yours. Hello, dear. Okay, okay, Raxi. Zayamil. What is your name? Zan or Zimal? You misspelled your name and I just. Simar, here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hi, dear Pavika. Here is yours. You're most welcome, dear. Lots of love. Hey, dear Britannia. Britannia. Here is yours. How are you? Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hi, dear Melinda. Here is yours. How are you? Hi, dear Sidra. Here is yours. Hello, dear Anabia. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hi, dear Soha. Here is yours. Hello, dear. Thanks. You're most welcome. Iram, dear, please, one name each person. आप ये ईद पर कौन सा कलर पहन रही हो? मल्टी है. पर्पल रेड रेड नहीं, पर्पल और वाइट मिक्स है. Hi dear Joanna, here is your good name. Hello dear, you're most welcome dear. Lexi, let's write yours. Here is yours. Anbia. Anbia or Anabia? Here is your good name. Hi dear Dia, here is yours. Guys, double tap on your screen. We are literally stuck on 59. Literally, we are stuck. Hi dear honey, I have to break this number. Here is yours. Arav. Hi dear Arav, here is your good name. Spelling गलत हो गया ना. खैर देखती हूँ क्या थे. वी ई नहीं आता बस, बाकी ठीक है. Here is yours, Arav. Thank you so much for subscribing. अभी क्या आपको ईदी मिलती है इस ईद पर? नहीं. नहीं, बिल्कुल भी नहीं मिलती. Hi dear Ditya, here is your good name. Thank you so much for subscribing. Hi dear Sahil, here is yours. Hello, don't write your name in paragraphs guys. Hi dear Ikra, here is yours. आप अपना नाम लिखें. मैं आपको वैसे बता देती हूँ, मेरा नाम विशाल है. Hi dear Gulzahra, here is yours. How are you? ऐसा क्यों होता है मेरे साथ होता है बस ना. बड़ी ईद है, बड़ी ईद पे ईद ही नहीं मिलती. Hi dear Victoria, here is your good name. किस किस को मिलती है? And I am turning 8. Oh, congratulations, dear cutie pie. My name is Timon. Timon, can you that please on the board? Okay, why not, dear? Here is yours. And happy birthday in advance. Hooray, me, I'm getting Eid. Hi dear Hooran. Hooran is so lucky. Here is your good name. Hi dear Sultana. Here is yours. How are you? Hi. Huh? Oh, thank you so much, dear. Lots of love. Hi, dear Manvi. Here is your good name. Hello, dear Sultana. Here is yours. Double tap on your screen. Grace. Hi, dear Grace. Here is yours. Hi, dear Acha. Dear Celine, here is a good name. ये नहीं आपके लिए, आपने इतना इंसिस्ट किया है, मैंने अपना लिख दिया. Thank you so much for liking. Hania. Hi dear Hania, here is your good name. Hi dear Leanna, here is yours. Hi dear Aisha, here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hey dear Raddy, here is yours. Hello dear Sania is done. Raddy is done. Noemi. Hi dear Noemi. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Letty, welcome back. Hi dear Sanju. Here is yours. Hi dear Ornella. Here is your good name. How are you? Hey dear Jordan, here is yours. Uh, सही बात है. Hi dear Jaspreet Kaur welcome back. How are you? Here is your beautiful name. Hello dear. Hey, आपका नाम तो इरम है, अभी भी लिखा था ना. Hi dear Rumi, here is yours. Hello dear. Okay. Guys, one name each person please. Khalifa. Hey dear Khalifa, here is yours. Hi dear Kavi, here is a good name. Hello dear. ये लास्ट लिखूंगी मैं, ठीक है ना? ये लो, रुमैसा। इरम जी, आपके लिए बस लिखा है मैंने। हाय डियर, ओके मायरा, here is yours. अभी आपकी आवाज़, एक मिनट। मेरी एक दोस्त है युस्रा नाम है, सेम उस जैसी जैसे वो बोलती है सेम। पहले आपको ये लगा होगा शायद मैं वही हूँ, युस्रा जिसकी आप बात कर रहे हो। हाय डियर इंग्रिड, हाँ हो सकता है, मिलती है वॉइसेस। Here is your, she's happy. Oh, good to know. Hi dear namer, here is your good name. How are you? Hello dear Anna, here is your good name. Nickname, yeah, dear Lo. I remember your name and nickname too. Hey dear Greta, here is yours. Hi dear Anishka, Anshika, Anshika. Here is yours. You're most welcome, dear. Hi, dear Lucky. Here is your good name. We are literally stuck. Guys, double tap on your screens. We have to break this number. Hi, dear Purna. Here is yours. How are you? Yeah, Zubada for you, dear. Here is yours. Hi, dear Akanksha. Here is yours. How are you? Hello, dear Itachi. Here is yours. Now we are stuck on 6-7. Salman, hi. Hello, dear Salman. Here is your beautiful name. जल्दी जल्दी सब्सक्राइब भी कर लो साथ साथ सारे। हिमांशी, hi dear Himanshi, here is your beautiful name. How are you? मेरी मम्मा का नाम इरम था, वो आईडी पर लिखा हुआ था इसलिए मेरा नाम रुमैसा। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपने मेरा नाम लिखा। कोई बात नहीं, you're most welcome. Hey dear Zurina, here is your good name. Hello, dear Kyle. Here is yours. Hi, dear Darsha. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hi, dear King. Here is yours. How are you? Let's see who is next. मुझे अपने साइड पर दो टेडी रखे हैं ना, वो बहुत क्यूट हैं. Glad you like it, dear. 6-7, please. Here is yours. Hey dear Osbear, here is your beautiful name. How are you? हो गया, लिख दिया मैंने सिक्स, मुझे पता था चैट ने यही कहना है, मैंने इसलिए पहले लिख दिया. Hey dear Aza, here is yours. अरे लाइट कैसे तेज हो गई है? Hey dear Ikra, here is your good name. Double tap on your screens. 7-7 करते हैं अब complete. Hi dear Hiba, here is yours. Thank you dear, thank you. Hi dear Giant, here is yours. Hello dear Siska, here is your good name. Hi dear Neely, here is yours. Hi dear Tabish, here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hi dear, thank you so much for subscribing. What is a good name, dear? Dear Danish, here is yours. Lots of love. Hi dear Rosalie, here is yours. What a beautiful name you have. Hi dear Jatin, here is yours. Hello dear Salman, here is your good name. How are you? Hi dear Sanjay. Oh, here is yours. How are you? Hi dear Sonia, here is your good name. Hey dear Ella, here is yours. How are you? Let's see who is next. Hello dear Zainab, here is yours. Hi dear Aliza, here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hello. नहीं, मैं आपकी फ्रेंड यूस्रा नहीं हूँ डियर। मैं यूस्रा नाम की किसी लड़की को जानती भी नहीं हूँ। हाय डियर फातिमा, here is your good name. How are you? Jasmine. Hi dear Jasmine, here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hi dear Sammy, here is yours. Hello, dear. My name is Ishal. Hey, dear Seema. Here is your good name. How are you? I am doing good. Welcome back. How about you? मौसम भाई पता लाइट चली गई थी पिछली वाली लाइव में. Here is yours. Hi, dear Arohi. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hi, dear Isa. Happy birthday. Here is yours. Guys, don't forget to double tap on your screens, and there is a subscribe button waiting for your finger press. All this gold is back. जी जी पूरा सिस्टम ही जाम हो गया था. हाँ आपके उधर भी गई थी क्या? Hi dear Salman, here is your beautiful name. How are you? I was there yesterday. Oh, welcome back. What's a good name? Hey dear Neha, thank you for joining again. Here is a good name. Hi dear Naira, here is yours. How are you? Hello dear Dorote. Here is yours. Momina dear, your name is done. Here is yours. Hey dear Isani, here is your good name. In the next slide for sure, dear. Let's see who is next. Like, oh, welcome back. Yeah, I remember. Here is yours. Let's see who is next. नहीं नहीं मेरा तो सिम डाटा है आपका सिस्टम का लैग की वजह पूरी खत्म. हाँ ना. हाँ सच मुझे याद आ गया पैकेज पैकेज चलता है आपका. Hi dear Vas, here is yours. My name is Ishal. अभी अभी बताया था मैंने. I am good. How about you, dear Cookie? Hey, dear Anaga, here is yours. How are you? Hello, dear Ahra. Here is yours. One name each person. Hey, dear Sian. Here is yours. How are you? Let's see who is next. Hi, dear Sony. Here is your good name. Hello, dear Rania. This package ना अब बहुत महंगे हो गए हैं. हाँ ना. Here is yours. आपको तक 2 दिन बाद ही करवाना पड़ता होगा भाई, है ना? YouTube सबसे ज़्यादा पैकेज उसमें जाता है. Hello, dear Abida. Here is your good name. How are you? Hi, dear Vajra. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Zana. Here is yours. How are you? Hello, dear Zana and Zanable. Here is yours. How are you? ये देखो ऊपर से शायद गिर गया. वैसे लग रहा है स्प्रिंकल्स किया है कुछ. Hello, dear sweetie. Here is your good name. How are you? Hey, dear Ashik. Here is your good name. Hello, dear Satria. Here is yours. Hi, dear Shivani. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? मैंने अभी पहले भी मैंने किसी के लिए लिखा था। चलो कोई बात नहीं, आप इतना इंसिस्ट कर रहे हो तो आपके लिए लिख दिया मैंने दोबारा। हाय मोहम्मद, वेलकम गाइस, डबल टैप ऑन योर स्क्रीन। अब आप मुझे इजी सेंड कर दें। ये लो, मुझे खुद नहीं मिल रही, आप ले लो। रुको रुको, ऐसे बस यही है मेरे पास। बस मेरे पास मुझे खुद नहीं अभी तक मिलेगी थी, और इस दफ़ा तो मिलेगी भी नहीं। हाय डियर फातिमा, हियर इज़ योर्स। सिर्फ क्या आपको पता है मैं स्टार्टिंग में मॉडरेटर क्यों नहीं लेता था? क्यों भाई? हे डियर, वैसे बताओ बन के कैसा लग रहा है मॉडरेटर आपको? हाय डियर आशीष, हियर इज़ योर्स। हेलो डियर असारा, हियर इज़ योर गुड नेम। मम्मी ना, मैंने आपके काफ़ी सारे नाम लिखे हैं, अब ये वाला नेक्स्ट में लिखूंगी, ठीक है? हेलो डियर, हाँ मैंने लिख दिया, आपके लिए ही लिखा था भाई अभी। ईज़ा, हियर इज़ योर्स। हेलो डियर हमना, ये आपने सबसे महंगी ईदी दी है, हम खो भी दें। दो दिए थे ना, एक आप ले लेना। हाय डियर हमना, हियर इज़ योर्स। हेलो डियर सलमान, हो गया है। एस डी डी क्या है? हाजरा जी, hello dear Hajra, here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hi dear Kontal. Kontal, here is yours. Oh, you're most welcome. Hello dear Elena, here is your beautiful name. Hi dear Serenity, here is yours. How are you? Hi dear Farida, here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hello dear Arlena, how are you? Here is yours. You're most welcome. Let's see who is next. उस टाइम मैं खुद को सेफ समझता, यानी आप ही प्रोटेक्टेड। हाँ मुझे पता था ना, आपको पता था मैं किसी को टाइम आउट देने नहीं दूंगी, तो अब क्यों लिया है आपने वैसे मॉडरेटर? वो वैसे उस वजह से लिया था, मुझे है तो पता ही वैसे। एडी, hello dear Hanzala, here is yours. How are you? Hi dear GESIAH. बहुत गर्मी हो गई है भाई, ईद पे पता नहीं क्या बनना है। दानिश, hi dear Danish, here is your beautiful name. अब मैं आपको सिर्फ नहीं समझता इसलिए अच्छा था ये, अच्छा था मुझे भाई। Luke Brian, hi. Luke Brian, here is yours. Hi dear Alpha, here is your good name. Hello dear Srishti, here is yours. How are you? Hi dear Luan, here is yours. Hello dear Sania, here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hi dear Ashfa, here is yours. Hello dear Dua, okay दुआ जहरा, यहाँ पे हो मोमिना या चली गई हो? लिख दिया है मैंने आपके लिए। Hi dear Hanar, how are you? Welcome. Hi dear Hanar, here is yours. Hello dear William, here is your good name. How are you? Hello dear Nelly, here is your good name. Hi, dear Sonali. Here is yours. Roshane, welcome back. Here is your good name from Philippines. So good to have you here. Hi, dear Alisa. Here is yours. Hey, dear Karthik. Here is your good name. How are you? Hello, dear Rahul. Here is yours. You're most welcome. Hey, Ahad. Ahad था मैंने साहद दिखने लगी थी. Hey, dear Ahad. Here is yours. Don't forget to like and subscribe. जी हाँ मासी जी को कोई परेशान नहीं करेगा चीनी तो भी को दे दोगा अगर मासी जी को किया तो वरना आप कहाँ क्या चीनी भाई आजकल नाराज चल रहे हैं वो नहीं आने वाले अभी. Hi, dear Kia. Here is yours. Hello, dear Ben. Here is yours. Hi, dear Nooreen. आप तो कह रहे थे वापस लेनी मुझसे. Here is yours. Hi, dear Mary Rose. Here is your good name. How are you? Hello, dear Ransa. Here is your good name. अरे अटके पड़े हैं हम आज लाइक हमारे अटके पड़े हैं सच में. Guys, double on your screen. Let's see who's gonna be the 90 liker. Hey, dear Aliyan, here is yours. Hey, dear Milena, here is your good name. कल पता है क्या हुआ मैं आपको बताऊंगी ठीक है पता है आपने किधर आना है ना. Hi, dear Inga, here is yours. Hi, dear HG. HG equal love. अरे वाह कितना प्यारा लिखवाया है कितना अच्छा था ये कमेंट. Here is yours. Let's see who is next. Wagner. Hi, dear Wagner. Here is yours. How are you? You're most welcome. Hey, dear. Here is yours. Hello, dear Hadia. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Tamanna. Here is yours. Hi, dear Alim. Here is your beautiful name. उनका हैंडल कीवर्ड और सर्च बार में सेव है. आपका भी मेरे पास सेव है इसलिए आराम से मेंशन हो जाता है. हाँ यार इतनी गर्मी लग रही है आज भाई. ओके लेट्स सी हु इज नेक्स्ट. धप्पा. हाय डियर वैगनर मैंने लिखा नहीं क्या. हाय डिलाला वेलकम बैक. Here is yours. Hello, dear Shehram. Here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hi, dear Manju. Here is yours. Hello, dear Sarah. Here is your good name. How are you? Kuldeep ji, welcome back. Here is your good name. Hi, dear Seelan. Here is yours. उनका हैंडल को सेव करना लाजमी है. उनका एक किलोमीटर का नाम है. उन्होंने वो आईडी तो चेंज करते रहते हैं अपना हैंडल. कैसे सेव कर सकते हैं उनका हम. Here is yours. It's my first time. Okay, मुझे लगा शायद आप दूसरे वाले क्या नाम था आपका. कुलदीप है. वो एक जसप्रीत जी भी है ना. Hi, dear Cam. Here is your. So welcome. You are new here. How are you? Hello, dear Yahya. Here is your good name. नहीं. Hi, dear Manbei. Here is yours. You're most welcome, Darcy. Lots of love, dear. Hi, here is your good name. How are you? अटक रही है ना. बस. कौन पूछ रहा है भाई? शहराम। Hey dear शहराम, here is your, मुझे ये नहीं समझ आती इंस्टा क्यों मांगने लग जाते हैं सब मुझसे। को सर्कल करके वाह। Here is, how are you? Hello dear इरोदा। क्यों भाई? फॉलो करना है आपने मुझे तो ठीक है, चैनल के साथ ही लिंक है इंस्टाग्राम का हैंडल मेरा, उसको क्लिक करोगे सीधा वहाँ पे पहुँचोगे। Hey dear Rada, here is yours. Hi dear THEUS। हाँ जी फॉलो करना बस, ठीक है फिर कर लीजिए। Yours is your beautiful name. Oh, you're most welcome, Rosalie. And the hair is yours. Wait a minute, कौन गया? हाँ तो मैंने कौन सा एक्सेप्ट कर लेनी है? Hi dear Vishnu, here is your good name. Hello dear Basma, here is yours. How are you? Hi dear Nikita. Nikita, here is yours. Guys, tap on your screen. Let's see who is next. Sarah. मैं भी बोलूँ आज सारा नाम क्यों नहीं आया अभी तक? डबल ए ना? Here is yours. F equal love. आला. S F, ये नहीं जी आपके लिए। जी मैंने बनाया जी, मैंने भी बनाया था। क्या ऐसा क्या किया था जो सस्पेंड हो गया था भाई? किधर रोज जाते थे? मेरी आईडी पे ना करो सच में। यस हम रोज आते हैं भाई, रोज आते हैं हम। आमिला, hi dear Amila, here is yours. Hello dear Ishal, अरे वाह। Here is your double A good name. How are you? मुझे नहीं पता था मुझे भाई सच में। स्पेलिंग रॉन्ग थे, रुको मैं दोबारा देखती हूँ, एक मिनट ठहरें, जस्ट गिव मी 1 मिनट। LIT, रुको दोबारा लिखते हैं, LITHIKA। अब ठीक है? सॉरी डियर मंगल। Let's see who is next. Mangal, here is yours. How are you? Hi dear Iris, here is your good name. सिर्फ अली का नेम और पिक थी, शायद इसीलिए मैंने बताया भी था कि आपने मुझे बताया, मैंने तो नहीं देखा आज तक। Hi dear Ayan, here is yours. Hey dear Madeline, here is your good name. How are you? Hi dear Aisha, here is yours. How are you? Hello dear Sifa, welcome. Here is your good name. Hi dear Daksh, here is yours. Nice. Hi dear Meena, here is your beautiful name. Hello dear Divagar. ER, here is yours. मैंने कहा था चलो ठीक है। अच्छा ये मुझे ही नहीं याद है, काफ़ी देर की बात होगी फिर शायद। Hi dear Zainab, here is yours. Let's see who is next. Hey dear Ayan, here is your beautiful name. Hi dear Afia, here is yours. How are you? Naegehi. Okay dear, here is yours. Guys, पहले की बात है. सच में मुझे याद क्यों नहीं आ रहा? कब कहा था आपने ये कि मोहम्मद अली की पिक है? सोच रही हूँ अभी भी मैं. Zia Ali. Here is yours. Hello dear Dilsora. How are you? Here is your good name. Hi dear Hiba. Here is yours. Guys have to complete 100. 6 more. Come on, double tap on your screen. Hi dear Faisal. मजनू भाई क्या ये बाहर वाला साउंड आ रहा है क्या बीच में? आलू ले लो, प्याज ले लो. अच्छा कुल्फी खोए वाली आई है भाई. Okay, bye. Gotta go. Bye. Thank you so much for your precious time. Hey, dear Lober. Here is yours. What a unique name you have. Now we need 5 more. Hello, dear Isumi. Here is your good name. Hi, dear. Bye. Winter. Here is yours. Uh, माफी दीजिएगा जिससे मैंने ये मेरी कोई नॉइस नहीं है. हाँ ठीक है ठीक है. Hello, dear Xiomara. Here is yours. सोच लिया लगता है ना. स्टाइलिश करके लिख दीजिए हिबा, मुझे डीपी चाहिए. डबल बी भी दूसरे वाला लिख लेते हैं, रुको दोबारा लिखते हैं. एक मिनट. ये मेरी कैटो आ गई है. कैटो. ओके बाय बाय. टेक केयर. ठीक है अब, या फिर एंगल थोड़ा सा चेंज कर दूँ ताकि आपको इजी हो जाए. एक मिनट ठहरें, अब ले लें. Okay, let's see who is next. Lela. Hi, dear Lela. How are you? Hello again. Hi, Coco. Welcome. Bye, Yash. Take care. सिर्फ अब आप अपनी अमानत को चाहे ले लेना, मोड को ये सेफ है अभी मेरे पास. अच्छा अच्छा ठीक है. आपको मैंने एक सोफी है उनको भी दिया है मोड. जोफी है, आपको पता ही होगा. Hi dear Albert, here is yours. Hello dear Chloe, here is your good name. You're most welcome. कोई बात नहीं. It's okay. Hi dear Kushi, here is your beautiful name. How are you? Hey dear Arif, here is yours. Hello dear Afifa, here is your good name. You're most welcome, dear Chloe. Guys, 5 more. We need 5 more. So please double tap on your screens and ठीक है कर दिया तो जाओ भाई. पढ़ लिया है मैंने. कोई बात नहीं, मैंने आपको ही बोला है ये. Hi dear मंजूल. करके बताना ज़रूरी है देखो. Here is yours. Hello dear. नहीं मुझे पता है मैट को दिया था. एक मिनट ठहरो. Hi dear मानू. अब स्पैम इसी चीज़ का करेंगे, ये मुझे पता है. चल जाओ फिर, अब मैंने कर दिया आपको. नहीं, मुझे नहीं पता, मैक को दिया था वैसे चीनी के साथ क्या बात हुई है। बताऊंगी फिर, यहाँ पे तो नहीं बता सकती ना मैं आपको भाई। Hi dear Ashra, here is your good name. Hello dear Deepak, here is yours. Hey dear Yan, here is your beautiful name. Hey dear Tanu, here is yours. How are you? Hello dear. Guys, three more and let's see who is next. Kruti, here is yours. Hi dear Akil, here is your beautiful name. Hello dear Ziva, here is yours. Hi dear Shahri, here is a beautiful name. How are you? Yeah, I am good. Thank you so much for asking, dear. Manjula, here is your good name. इस इमोजी के साथ पता नहीं है मेरा इमोजी फेवरेट क्यों हो गया, मैं इसी वजह से ये यूज करती हूँ. मारिफा, here is yours. You're most welcome. Hi, dear Alia. Here is your beautiful name. Hello, dear Ella and Ada. Here is yours. Hello, dear Saria. Here is your good name. Double tap on your screens. Let me write BDS for Army. Let me write Blackpink for Blinks. ये बनी ना अस्तगफिरुल्लाह. नहीं नहीं भाई, मैंने कौन से आपसे पूछ लिया ऐसी. Hi dear Danny, here is your. वो तो बहुत सीरियस बात थी ना. Hey dear Brandon, here is your good name. How are you? Hi dear Reedy, here is yours. One more guys. Let's see who's gonna be the. हो गए कंप्लीट? नहीं हुए अभी भी. मुझे तो 99 शो हो रहे हैं भाई. Page, here is yours. And Nisha, here is your good name. Hi dear Sayla, here is yours. Hi dear Candice, here is your good name. How are you? Hi dear Adam, here is yours. सनम का मैंने आपसे पूछा ही नहीं, कब पूछा मैंने. दीपक, वो तो मैंने आपसे लाइव में पूछा था ना. Here is yours. Okay guys, now it's time to end the stream. Let's see, for Karan is our last name for this stream. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for your precious time. Now it's time to end the stream. And let me go. Take care. Bye bye. Take care. Take care. Bye bye. जब आखिरी बार आया था जी लाइव की बात है, हाँ ना, तब कौन सी इमोजी लगती है लाइव में. नीलम लिख लेते हैं फिर जाते हैं. बाय बाय बाय. टेक केयर. गुड डे.